Hello, just before we get into today's video, I just want to offer my condolences to the family and friends of the legend that is Frank Worthington, who sadly passed away recently. A very, very colourful character, one of my favourite footballers, and obviously the goal against Ipswich, which propelled him to legendary status around these parts and in many other parts as well. He is going to be one sorely missed young chap, and reading the comments on Twitter, he was much loved by thousands. So rest in peace, Mr. Frank Worthington. Howdo, dear viewer. It's Wednesday, so it must be time for yet another Wacky Wednesday video. Stand by. Yes, howdo, dear viewer. Welcome to my little corner of the YouTube. Today we're looking at a topic that absolutely fascinates me, and that is a topic of evolution. We are also looking at a topic that doesn't fascinate me, which is the topic of creation. Many evolution deniers will cite the Bible as their scientific evidence for creation, and we all know that the Bible is not a science book, it's a book of fables, really. For instance, it claims that whales are fish, which we know they are not. That olive trees could talk, snakes could talk, bats are either birds or locusts, depending on which version of the Bible you read, and so on and so forth. Lots of inconsistencies. So, but, you know, if you find comfort and solace in reading the Bible, and if you take comfort and joy from reading that Bible, then that's entirely up to you. So we've got a young chap who runs a YouTube channel called Campaign for Christ International. So, and he lists his reasons for not believing in evolution despite the overwhelming evidence for it, and absolutely none for creation, apart from a 2,000-year-old book of fables, of course. So, without further much ado, let's have a listen at what he's got to say.
Hello friends, Josiah Alway here with Campaign for Christ International, and today we're going to be talking about evolution versus creation. And I'm going to give you my top 4 reasons why I do not believe in evolution.
Why does it have to be this versus this? Why does it have to be creation versus evolution? I don't get it. It's like globe Earth versus flat Earth. There's overwhelming evidence for the globe and zero evidence for a flat Earth. There's overwhelming evidence for evolution and absolutely zero evidence for creation. So stop pitting one against the other. If you're going to pit one against the other, have some evidence for both, really. Just have some evidence. Simple.
Now you might be thinking, well, why is that even important? I mean, why do we even have to debate evolution and creation? And
because people like you deny evolution without even looking at anything or doing any research. You've got your Bible. Bible says it all. Done deal. That's your mind, not ours. I mean, on the evolution side, that's all they're saying. Right, that's all the evidence for evolution. Go and disprove it if you want to, but disprove it with some facts. Disprove it with some evidence. You know, don't just wave a Bible in the air and say God did everything. That's not science, and it's not evidence.
the reason it's important is because if evolution is true,
It is.
then the book of Genesis, the first book of the Bible, is discredited. And ultimately, that discredits the entire Bible.
I don't have a problem with the Bible being discredited at all. Like I say, whales are not fish. They are mammals. You could argue that whales and fish swim in the sea together. Well, I've swum in the sea. Doesn't make me a fish. Even though I used to be. Well, my ancestors did. That's evolution. Sorry about that.
So it's a very, very important topic. So 4 reasons why I do not believe in evolution. Number 1, over decades and decades of research, scientists still haven't discovered a fossil that proves a transitional kind. What I'm saying by that is they've never found a fossil where they've been able to prove that monkeys evolved into humans, or that some kind of an animal evolved into a completely different kind of animal.
Evolution doesn't teach that one animal completely evolved into a different kind of other animal. But you've got to define the word kind. What is a kind? No creationist has ever given a suitable description for the word kind. They say, well, it says in the book of Genesis that they bring forth after their kind. What is a kind? It's all you need to answer, and they're very sneaky creationists, and and they will slip and slide and deflect and dodge, and they will never answer what is a kind. It's as simple as that. Define that, and then we've got some ground to work on. We've got something to go on then. Oh, we didn't evolve from monkeys. I don't know where you get that from. We share a common ancestor with apes and chimps. And our common ancestor, it diverged into two separate lineages. Hominids on one side and apes and chimps on the other. But whichever way you look at it, we are apes. We share a common ancestor with apes. And that common ancestor was an ape-like creature, not a monkey. Oh, we do have transitional fossils, Archaeopteryx being probably the most famous one. It had a long tail of feathers, it had teeth just like a non-avian dinosaur, and it has wings and feathers just like a modern bird. And there are other transitional fossils as well. I'm going to have to read these off because my pronunciation is terrible, so I do apologise for this. What do we have here? The Pachycetus and other amphibious whales, for instance. The Pezosiren portelli. Crikey, that's a thingy one that was discovered in Jamaica. And the Tiktaalik, which is represents a translation of vertebrate life from water to land. So, yes, there are many transitional fossils.
And Charles Darwin actually said that he believed it was the fossil record that was going to prove evolution were true. Well, after decades and decades of research, we've never found evidence through the fossil record of a transitional kind.
I've just given you several examples. And please define the word kind.
Reason number 2. I don't believe in the theory, or better said, the hypothesis of evolution, because of the second law of thermodynamics, which basically states that chaos cannot produce order. If evolution were true, then a chaotic explosion in the universe,
rapid expansion, I've said this many times in many other videos, rapid expansion,
namely the Big Bang, ultimately evolved into an incredible amount of order. I mean, you just look at the DNA of the human body. The amount of intricate detail in the DNA or in the human eye or whatever you want to look at in the world. It's incredibly complex. And what evolution is saying is that chaos in the universe ultimately produced order.
No, it isn't at all. Evolution is the change of characteristics in a species over several generations, and natural selection is part of that process as well. It relies on that process. So evolution doesn't teach that at all, really, does it? And evolution has got nothing to do with the Big Bang. I do hope that you're not trying to say that all life, all the planets and all the stars were condensed into a little dot that suddenly exploded, because that's not how the Big Bang works. It's not how the Big Bang explains anything either. So please tell me you're not going to say that. Please tell me. You're not going to do it.
Which is completely against the second law of thermodynamics.
Well, the second law of thermodynamics, I always have trouble with that word. The second law of thermodynamics describes an isolated system. It has an isolated system in it. So an isolated system doesn't transfer energy out or doesn't receive energy. So examples would be the universe or a thermos flask, an isolated system, because it doesn't transmit energy out and it doesn't receive any energy, or it can't receive any energy. Now, the Earth isn't an isolated system. It receives energy from the sun. It can be considered a closed system because it doesn't get rid of any matter or anything like that. So, yeah, I mean, I hope you don't think the Earth is flat as well, because flat Earthers use, oh, the Earth can't be a globe because it violates the second law of thermodynamics. Oh, God, give me strength.
Reason number 3. If evolution is true, what came first? The blood, the heart, or the blood vessel? Neither of which can survive without the other. One of our team members in Campaign for Christ International is a medical doctor, Dr. Fidel Reyes. You've probably seen him make videos on this channel before. And he and I were talking about this. As a doctor, if he looks at the human body, he'll see that there are many parts of the human body that rely on other parts of the body. And the example in this particular case that I'm using is blood, the heart, and the blood vessel. If evolution were true, how did all 3 of those evolve at the same time? You see, all of the parts of the human body would have had to come together in one moment for the body to exist. Evolution just doesn't provide the answer to the complexities of the human body.
Oh, for crying out loud. Why do I bother? Why do I bother? You said it yourself. Well, you more or less said it yourself that they evolved at the same time, and that's exactly what happened when we, even before we started crawling out of the sea. We already had those organs, we already had the blood, and then we crawled out of the sea, and they evolved with our ancestors over millions and millions of years. It's not that difficult to understand. We have evidence for this. What evidence have you got? I could do a video, and I might do in future, 4 reasons why I don't believe in the Bible, 4 reasons why I don't believe in creation. I could do a whole series on it, a series of 4, because there's thousands of reasons not to believe in creation. Show some evidence for your side, just for a change.
And reason number 4, and I say this one because I'm a Christian, I believe in the story of creation, not evolution, because of the first verse of the first book of the Bible. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth.
That must be the most unbelievably powerful book in the history of books. Even more powerful than The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, or 1984, or the Beano Annual 1986. It must be one unbelievably powerful book to convince you that all the evidence that we have for evolution is either false. It must be unbelievably powerful for you to dismiss all the evidence for evolution. And it must be unbelievably powerful for you to be convinced that there was this magical, omnipotent, all-seeing, all-powerful being that created everything in 6 days. And it just seems unbelievably fantastic to me. And I don't mean fantastic in a fantastic way. So, this is if any creationists are listening, any creationists are watching, sorry, please can you present some evidence for creation without citing the Bible? Because as we all know, I've mentioned this earlier in the video, the Bible is not a science book. I want to see some evidence for creation without citing the Bible and without mentioning God. Mention God if you want to. Just don't cite the Bible. Please. Thank you. That would be wonderful. So, I've shown you 4 reasons why he doesn't believe in evolution, and I've shown you evidence why you should. So, there you go, and decide amongst yourselves. There's only one way to settle it. Fight! Doesn't matter. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me. Join me for more Wacky Wednesday videos, and join me for more gameplay videos. Toodle pip.